She hasn't paid a dime, and she lost her primary. So then there was no use for the database.
I never used that database, didn't open it, didn't do anything.
And we can go back on with Mr. Forsmark and Ms. Barnes. Ms. Barnes, you still there? Yeah, we'll get her. There you go.
I'm not sure what happened to my video. I was sitting here and it's gone. Do you want me to try to leave and come back in?
Let's just leave and see where we're at. Maybe we can just kind of work out it. Mr. Forsmark, this is your claim. Have the two of you talked recently at all?
No, she quit communicating with me a couple of years ago.
Okay. Do you want to talk?
I did offer. I offered. I told her I was going to do this. I've made all kinds of offers. She hasn't paid a dime. If she'd done $50 a month, this had been over a long time ago. So I didn't know what else to do. We're 5 years. I've obviously been not exactly quick on the trigger to do this. I hate doing this.
Okay. Ms. Barnes, do you want to talk to Mr. Forsmark for a minute?
No.
No? Okay, we'll just proceed then. Why Ms. Barnes?
I'll raise my right hand. I have my right hand raised.
Oh, good. Mr. Forsmark, both of you swear from the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Forsmark, this is your claim for services you provided for.
Judge, may I say something real quick?
Sure. What's it?
I do not believe that Genesee County has jurisdiction in this matter. The one and only time that Mr. Forsmark and I discussed business at all, we were at Kelly's downtown Lansing at 220 South Washington Square, which is Ingham County, and I live in Eaton County. So I believe this is jurisdictionally not proper.
This was done over text message, and
no.
So.
Okay, I'm sorry, Ms. Barnes. So where do you
provided you with the text messages?
We didn't kind of work through it. Let me just ask her a couple things first. Ms. Barnes, where do you live? I guess
I live at, which is Eaton County.
And this was for I'm assuming this is for a political race of some sort. Where was the political race at?
It was an Eaton County race, and the one and only meeting we had regarding potentially hiring Mr. Forsmark's company to work for my campaign was done in Ingham County at Kelly's downtown.
And you had one meeting in Lansing, it sounds like.
At Kelly's downtown.
And was there a written contract signed by both of you? I'm sorry?
No, sir.
No, Mr. Forsmark? No.
I provided you with the text messages where she authorized me to buy the database. I didn't text her across the table at Kelly's, by the way. She texted me in my office. We went back and forth. I explained the cost. I explained why I wanted to buy it early. Well, I didn't in the text message, but that company at the time had a contract they would sign a contract with the Democrats every year that they wouldn't sell general election databases to Republicans. But in the off season, you can buy them because that contract isn't enforced. So I bought it early. I negotiated a rate that was about $1,000 less than she could have gotten coming in off the street. She accepted all that. You can see in the text messages. And I purchased the database for her. Then COVID hit. She didn't want to go door to door. As you know, it didn't stop Don Weir or Dave Martin. And she kind of coasted through the primary, and somebody came in and won. She had lost a narrow race 2 years before. I think she seemed to think that nobody was that would carry her through this primary, and it didn't.
One has nothing to do with it.
I made this purchase. I spent $2,500 on this data. I had a consulting fee that she had agreed to too, and I dropped that. Because
I guess we're still not even getting into that specifics. Just that
I was here. I was, I texted her from my office.
Did she contact you for services?
She called me. Yeah, she called me and said she didn't like her last consultant and wanted me to work with her. So I went and met her.
Ms. Barnes, you just said no.
No, I didn't even know who David Forsmark was at all. In fact,
I don't contact people ever.
How did you end up having him used for services then?
I didn't use him for services after I met with him and did some background on what his reputation was, and then that I would be illegal for me to use that database past August, and we were in January. I did not use the database. We had several conversations.
It sounds like, okay, I guess we got to work.
I don't think this is jurisdictionally Genesee County, honestly, Your Honor.
But how did you get it? Somehow you got a hold of him, or somebody did.
I did not get a hold of him. He got a hold of me. He had represented he's represented other candidates. When you run for office and you file, people come out of the woodwork for everything.
I never, Your Honor, I have never called anybody in my life. I don't do that. People call me or I don't work with them. I have never called a client. I've never sold my way into a campaign. I just don't do that.
Okay, let me look.
I don't know if it was the Barrett campaign, possibly. Somebody referred her to me.
Okay, let me get off for a second. Let me look at the pleadings, and I guess we got to work through that first. Hold on just a minute.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Okay, Mr. Forrestmark, on your Ms. Barnes, I just got to make sure you're there without that video there. You still there?
Yes, I am. I'm sorry, I muted you.
All right. Mr. Forrestmark, the contacts you had with Ms. Barnes, were they all over? Other than, it sounds like there was one meeting in, I'll say Lansing.
Well, she came to my Super Bowl party in February. She didn't seem to think I was a scumbag who sold her an expired database then.
I'm sorry, when was that one? Yeah.
Well, it would have been the following February.
Okay. What about on this? So was all communications through texting?
Not all.
No.
On the phone, sure.
Where was, when you say it's not all, where was some of the other?
Well, no, the only conversation we had about potentially hiring his company to do consulting, as well as potentially purchasing the database. The only in-person meeting we had was at Kelly's downtown on Washington Square.
Hold on right there. Let me just kind of work through it because it's kind of an issue. Okay. So, Mr. Farr, is that true?
Well, she did come to my house later for, like I said, her and her husband came to the Super Bowl party the following February. They didn't seem to have a problem with me then.
Okay, but I'm just saying, was there this one?
I guess there was one meeting. It was a get to know you meeting. I mean, she lives quite a ways away.
Yeah, so Lansing though is not either one of your areas, correct?
Right.
I mean, both of you just ended up meeting at
that was just a get to know you meeting. We didn't sign any contracts or do anything then.
Okay.
I took back my consultant fee. I didn't charge that. I just need to be reimbursed for the purchase I made that you can see in the text.
Yeah, but hold on, I'm still just trying to get through the other part of it. Yeah. So all the other communications that you have are either texting or by phone. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, and then you've got, I know, the winning strategies. Where is that doing business out of?
The DBA is Genesee County.
Okay, that's what I need to know. Okay, Ms. Barnes, the objection to venue is denied. It sounds like you met in Ingham County. You're in Eaton. He's in Genesee. You met at a neutral ground. Sounds like it's all texting or by phone. The DBA's in Genesee County. There's more contact with here than there is anywhere else. You knew you were dealing with him in Flushing, it sounds like.
Was I aware that he lived in Genesee County? Yes.
Okay. All right. Look, the motion to change venue, or actually the argument that this case should be dismissed based on jurisdiction, is denied. We'll continue. I got both of you still under oath. Mr. Forrestmark, why don't you tell me how the $2,500, how did that come up?
So I only, if I'm going to do a race, particularly it's a swing seat, I need good data. And like I said, I could buy this in the off season. It did not expire before her campaign started. It expired after the general election. And I don't know who she talked to on the side and what they told her, but they were wrong. And she never brought that up to me until this very minute. So this is an excuse. I purchased it. You can see the back and forth, my explanations to her on text, her authorizing me to buy it, and then the later texts are a couple years later with her still saying, yeah, I know I owe you, I'll take care of you. And then after about a year after that, I offered all kinds of stuff, all kinds of payment plans, whatever. About a year after that, she just quit answering. I usually don't do this until I start hearing the clock ticking on statute of limitations, and then I don't have any choice.
Okay, so the $2,500 was the cost of getting the data? Yeah. Is that what it was?
I negotiated that. It'd normally be about $3,500 or $4,000 for that size of database.
Okay. Miss Barnes, why don't you tell me, was there some discussions with $2,500 for a database for political database?
My recollection is we sat at Kelly's, we talked about what it would look like if he represented my campaign and what it would look like if we purchased that database. He was a big proponent of that database. It doesn't expire after the general. It expires after the primary. We weren't allowed to use that database in the general because it's a Democrat database and you're not allowed to use it against the Democrats. So you were on a very short leash for that data. In the end, I did not hire Winning Strategies or David Forsmark to represent my campaign, nor did I sign any contracts authorizing the database or my reimbursement or authorizing any consulting fees. And he did not.
But she did text me authorization to buy it. You've got that in the file.
Ms. Barnes, why don't you address that for me?
I don't see it, sir. I mean, it's been 5 years. I've changed my phone. At this point, I'm the primary caregiver and power of attorney and only child for my father, who has dementia. And so literally, I don't work. All I do is take care of him. I certainly don't have texts from 5 years ago.
At some point, at some point you had the database though, right?
No, I never logged into the database, never used it, never anything, not a single, never even logged in. And there should be communication. I remember saying that to him, is that I never used it. I never even opened a program, got in with a password, nothing, did not use it at all, period.
All I can say is she told me to buy it. I bought it. I can't get a refund on it. The fact that she changed her mind somewhere along the way, you got to remember that was the COVID year. She didn't want to go door to door. There was no discussion that I wasn't going to work with her until she lost the primary through inaction, and then was kind of stuck with it. But you can also see that there are later texts where she says, I know I owe you and I'll take care of it.
Hey, so show me that, Mr. Forsmark. Why don't you?
They're in the, I dropped them off at the court.
I'm sorry, what? I've got some, but I don't see anything that says directly, I owe you money.
One of the last ones, just a minute, I have to call them back up.
I got, the first page I got says, I can get you Grabner Vocast for $2,500. The next line says, okay, that's higher than I hope, but I take it by the capital, boy, it says the capital can that this is a big deal. And then you respond, I guess, it's actually a significant discount. And then she says, you are super nice to me, thanks. And then you jokingly say, I'm actually this nice to anybody who hires me, LOL. But where do we get, is there something beyond?
There should be like 4 or 5 pages of text that I dropped off.
There are, but I'm just looking for, why don't you point it out to, well, you'll have access in a couple of days. Okay, you do say we're set up, you'll have access in a couple of days, I'll get you passwords. And then she says, okay, thanks. So
I said I didn't need payment up front. I had to get, So,
Okay, wait, well, hold on, where's that at? Where's the payment thing?
I said we had to get it when we had to get it. We were talking,
With that
one of the
line
reasons
in.
I bought it then was because I bought it outside their contract window so that I had rights to the database through the general election. But we've never had a discussion about that ever. This is the first time I've heard that she thought that. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. Oh, she says, I didn't forget about the database I never used, which,
Oh, you know what, where you're talking about is got cut off, I think, because I've got half a line says, and it looks like what you're saying, it says we had to get, and it looks like it says that, we had to get it when, and if I look at it, it says we, but it's cut off halfway through.
she lost. So the last text should be one where she lost. I said, sorry. She said, thanks. I said, I probably can't sell that. I said, B stars. I didn't like her opponent very much.
Yep. You got that.
I told you, well, I will make it right. I will do it personally.
Okay, and that's her telling you that part of it.
Yeah.
Once COVID hit, nobody had.
Obviously saying she was going to make it right with me on the purchase I made that she authorized. Even if she hadn't done that, she's obviously told me she was obviously fine with buying the database. And I didn't contact her. I'd never contacted a candidate in my life. I didn't have to try to sell my way into any race. People call me. 2, she authorized to do it. And 3, I absolutely use that data all the way through, just like I did for Dave Martin.
Set up, Miss Barnes,
Yes, sir.
the page that says we're set up, you'll have access in a couple of days, I'll get you passwords, and you say, okay, thanks, so much. How is that not an agreement that you're gonna take possession of that database?
By the time he contacted me, and when he said that, he had just gone ahead and purchased the database. I mean, there was no agreement. This was an after the fact.
Okay, so why didn't you say, hey, I didn't agree to anything? Why did you say, okay, thanks so much?
Why did I say thanks? Okay.
It says we're set. He says.
I don't know what else I would have said at that point. It was already done. I mean, I was pretty shocked that he had purchased that amount, that he had purchased it. And
somebody bought
I ran the amount past her.
Ma'am, at that point though, why wouldn't you just say, hey, listen, I didn't order anything yet?
Honestly, in the time we had met and in the time he purchased the database was a very short window. It was a few days. And after I met with him, like I said, I went and started looking at who he had represented, Googling his name, and there was just a lot attached to him. And he has been known to have some outbursts at Republican things and make scenes. And I think I was just trying to tamp it down. I did not want entering that I was in the beginning stages of a primary race. I just didn't want the political backlash that can come.
And I'm not trying to beat you up, but I'm just asking them, why didn't you just say, listen, Mr. Forsmark, I'm not hiring you. I don't want you. Here's your database. I'm sorry?
I didn't hire him. I did not hire him. My campaign.
Okay, let's just talk about that. Let's just talk about the database. Why? That's the only statement I got. I'm trying to help you out.
I know that.
All it says is we're set up. You'll have access in a couple of days. I'll get you a password. That's what he says. And then you say, okay, thanks so much. Why would you acknowledge that? Okay, I appreciate that, and go on from there.
I did not tell him to definitively purchase the database.
Why didn't you say that? That's what I'm asking. Why didn't you tell him that?
There was a fear of retribution because of things that the way he acts in his reputation in Republican circles. So I just was kind of I was doing the Heisman and keeping him away from me. And it was a done deal. I hadn't asked, there's nothing for me saying purchase it. So he's saying, okay, you're all done. You're going to have passwords.
Okay,
But
so
I never touched that database, sir. It was never used on my behalf. I never signed a contract with Mr. Forsmark or Winning Strategies. My campaign never gave him a penny. I never used that database,
Yeah, that's
didn't open
true.
it, didn't do anything with it.
okay, so
When
let
he
me.
said that, it was a done deal.
Okay, and I'm giving you a chance to explain some other things to me too. Then
Okay.
the next page, it says, he says, so what's the plan? Question mark. And the response is lock and load and hope the crazies don't burn our country down this week. They stay off my front lawn. What does that mean?
I'm not sure, sir. That's not, I mean, I don't know what preceded that. What's the date?
Mr. Forsmark, maybe you can help me out with it.
I don't know. I mean, this is all revisionist history. There's never been a word of anything she said to you ever said to me before this hearing. She contacted me. We were rolling. I actually had sent her an invoice for a consulting fee. I don't require anything up front. I'm that one idiot in this business that I work on a handshake most of the time. I buy things for people up front without paying for it, even postage, which nobody else does. And I don't get burned very often. And I try to screen people that they're honest and that I can trust them to do that, or my life doesn't work. But you can see I told her the cost ahead of time. She thanked me for buying it, for getting it for that discount. There was no, I don't want to work with you, anything back. She didn't work in her primary and said it was because of COVID, and she lost her primary. So then there was no use for the database. But even up to that point, I didn't know I wasn't hired, and I never knew I wasn't hired. There's nothing,
Mr. Forsmark, I guess I got one. How did you get the database to her? How did you?
So you just set up. She can go.
No, I know, but how did you do? I want to make sure I understand what you did. Did you email it to her? How did it?
I purchased it, and then I sent her the passwords and the login instructions and everything. So when you're getting into it, just call me. I'll walk you through. I mean, I don't just hand it to them.
Okay, so was that over that particular comment that you're making? Here's the password. I'll walk you through it. Is that in text or was that over telephone?
Well, the thing about the passwords and everything being available is in text. I told her over the phone. I'm sure how it works.
Okay, so what was the response when you told her that?
Thank you so much. No, you've seen it.
Same. Okay, then that part
was never a discouraging word until after she lost the primary.
Okay.
She told me she thought that this woman she really had contempt for, couldn't beat her no matter how much she worked, because she had a big narrow loss in 2018. She was the Republican nominee. They spent a lot of money on her, and she thought that would carry her through because COVID made it hard for people to campaign. It didn't work.
So first, whether I lost or not is not an issue here in this court today. And whether or not I like the woman or what's going on is not an issue. But I know you keep throwing barbs at me, and that's great.
Yeah, and ma'am, I'm not, quite frankly, putting much on that
The
anyway.
Gregner list, Your Honor, that he purchased without a signature, authorization, or contract can only be used in the primary, which at this point would have been that January 2020 date till August of 2020.
State Representative David Martin.
Hold on,
I'm talking. David, I'm talking. That list was not allowed to be used in the general election because you would be going against a Democrat, and it's a Democrat company that puts that list together. So if I were going to use that list, Your Honor, it would have been before August, not after August, because then I wouldn't have been able to win.
So did you tell him that?
No, I didn't want the list.
And that's what I keep coming back to. Nowhere in here does it say, I don't want this list.
It also doesn't say previous to him purchasing it that I do want it.
It does.
It says, okay, thanks so much. Right after he says he's got.
Afterwards, when he says we have the password, you're ready to go. The list is already purchased.
No, not true.
Okay. All right, guys. All right. I guess let me look at the pleadings again, and I'll make a decision for both of you. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, we can come back on the record. I did have a chance to review my notes and the pleadings, as well as the text messages that we've discussed for both sides. Do you find that there was a valid authorization for Mr. Forsmark to order political database for Ms. Barnes? The text messages are clear in the parts I actually read over. At the very beginning, it says I can get you Grebner for Vocast for $2,500, and the response is, okay, that's higher than I hope, but I take it by the by the capital can that this is a big deal. And then it goes on from there. There's nothing that says she's ever disputed wanting it ordered. And again, it really does come down to the one phrase, okay, where he says, we're set up, you have access in a couple of days, I'll get you passwords. And Ms. Barnes says, okay, thanks so much. And then the rest of it is, there's nothing denying, hey, listen, I didn't want this, it's old, anything. Therefore, a judgment for plaintiff in the amount of $2,500 in damages. I do show filing fee of $70, processing fee of $66.20. Mr. Forsmark, is that your cost?
Yes,
And you're asking for those as well?
yes, please.
Okay. Costs in the amount of $136.20. Total judgment, $2,636.20. Okay. Good luck to both of you, and I'll send both of you a copy of that judgment. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. You're welcome. Good luck, Ms. Barnes.